really understand the freedom of enjoying friendships until you had to take it away. And the way that they were restricted into the cells. For him, I know it has a special meaning to be here with all of you. So I wanted to thank you all and give you that sense. As you've been doing, and your guys, without any instruction, you could get an Oscar for your performances. You're just doing what you normally do, which is all we ask. And please, as much as possible, as ridiculous as all this apparatus is, we're here to enjoy you as much as anything. So I'm really enjoying the repartee that goes back, particularly the 35-mile-an-hour. That I really like that.
Since 30.
30. Was it you there, Doug?
No.
Oh, sorry.
We threw you under the bus.
Who else has a bet here today?
Sorry about that, guys.
Paul only made us.
And he's here. He's
Yeah.
here. Paul's our hero, that's for sure. Everybody needs a hero.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I don't have a Corvette, I have a big, long, Korean car.
I always, growing up, I always wanted a 57. That was like, to me, and that was the first, wasn't it? Piece of trivia, there was one year of that. Every year of that, all of the bodies were fiberglass, except for 1 year, there was one part that was metal. I think it was the 54, and the gas cap that popped off was the only metal part on that fiberglass body.
Good to know.
Everything else was-
I win a bar bet with that one.
What year do you have? Oh, wow. Yeah. And so you're in much bigger, they were like straight sixes back then with like 3 deuces or something.
He could have bought one, he's the money man here.
Oh, yeah? You paid for what?
Yeah, no, he is.
Oh, there you go. You mean, you already paid it out. All right, well,
Got
thank
good
you
credit.
guys. And,
He
you
paid
know,
it forward.
like I said, we'll just be coming around with camera, and at a certain point, we'll get out of your hair so you can enjoy the lunch without us. But it's really just slice of life, so enjoy it. Thank you.
Some of us don't hire for you to get in.
And if you have any questions for us later, feel free, we'll,
Yeah, how much does one of these cameras cost?
I own them all, so.
They're expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is, I had to actually price everything out for this trip because we had to insure it, and I was kind of shocked. I don't tell her too much, that's my wife as well as my producer.
Right.
Oh, good thing you told us that.
$1,000 with.
Oh. Randy can afford it.
And so now she's wondering why her Christmas presents are so neat. All right, but thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Check it out. Can we do another hand clap, guys?
Sure. We almost got it.
How you doing, Dave?
Where do you want me to?
In front of Paul.
Great.
Where do you want me? In front of Paul.
Yeah, over by Paul.
On his right side.
All right, guys,
Mr.
which I'm
Bailey.
gonna
Here we go.
You know this drill. Tell me when.
Rolling.
Yep. Thank you.
Defense. Hey, Randy, I went over to the dark side.
Look at that.
Oh
You know how to work it? No.
I don't either.
That's why I got this one.
The user manual looks like a phone
Hey
book.
Siri, show Glenn how to work this. There he is, look there.
Look at that, yeah. Glenn just accidentally launched a satellite
Yeah, somewhere.
into deep orbit.
You late for the party.
What's the average age out there?
Yeah.
Probably 80-ish.
Hey, Colin.
What's going on?
Glenn, the other day, mine rang, and there were no buttons that came up to answer it. The only way I figured out who called me was after it stopped, and I had a missed call reminder up there.
And then Randy realized he had blindfolds on.
Did you guys want to go in the order?
He's talking to Roll right here. Oh, yeah.
All right, I'll get back to you later. I'm sorry about that. Okay, take care. All right, let me know. Bye.
Hasn't been feeling good, so I don't know.
At the emergency room.
Oh,
my goodness.
Having an intestinal problem.
I don't know which car smell.
Good. You're supposed to get that after you eat here.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll pitch in about your lunch today, and you can sit right there.
Yeah, that's pretty
Like you always do. Are you gonna dance on the table like you normally do? or what?
No, not today.
Not today.
Sorry, I didn't bring my dancing shoes.
Oh, man.
That's the only way you get it.
Scott here today?
Yeah, he's here. He's in the back cooking.
Is he freaking
Or
out
even
about all this
snuck
going
into
on?
the office one.
Oh, this is the best part of lunch,
Yeah.
okay?
Uh-huh. You guys ready to order?
Yep.
You want your usual?
Yes.
Your usual?
Yes, ma'am.
What would you like, Paul? I know you get the cafe burger, Italian combo.
The combo.
The combo today? You want coleslaw with it?
Yes.
Okay. You want your
Usual?
usual?
Yeah.
You want, yeah, I know you've been changing up on me.
I know,
Pretzel pepperoni?
I've been trying to trick you up on that, but I'll have the pizza
Pretzel
pepperoni.
pepperoni?
Sure.
And today's special is the ribeye steak sandwich and the buffalo shrimp salad.
I'm gonna change up also, I'll try a personal pizza for the first time.
Okay.
Pepperoni.
Pepperoni on yours? Okay.
Chef salad with half a lettuce.
Okay, no onions, 1,000 on? You want your personal cheese or grilled cheese?
Grilled
or
cheese.
Grilled cheese today, kids grilled cheese, and you want your pepperoni, mushroom, and onion?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
You didn't have to say kids.
I told you. It's been 4 months and
Johnny,
she,
been here 4 months.
And she never writes anything down.
she remembers.
I've never seen
Yeah.
anything like it. Not bad memories either.
Out of what money?
What was that?
Yeah.
Thanks for the memories. All right.
Her, you really have to watch
Yeah. Memories. Sing the song with Gene Russell. I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
Well, if you'd have come here, she would have told you.
Where are we gonna get stormed after?
Doc, did your house do okay down in Florida? Is it getting impacted by this hurricane?
No, it's on the west coast. We're on the east coast. We didn't get bothered at all.
Okay, that's good news.
I talked to my granddaughter. She lives about 30 miles north. And I think she said it got about 10 miles an hour is all the wind they got.
Where's Robert Pace?
He is.
So yeah, everything's great. Thanks for asking.
I think he's on the west.
Protect that
He said
Corvette.
he played golf yesterday.
I know, gotta protect the Corvette. That's right.
Supposed to rain today, so I couldn't drive.
Well, I was telling these guys, they just said the storm just shifted a little further north. Did you see that on the news? So now, you guys down here, not that I'm out of the woods, but have a better chance of maybe getting some
It could be worse for
tornadoes
us than it
and
was.
We're supposed to get a lot of wind.
about 6 inches of
Originally
rain.
thought.
Yeah, we're in tornado watch till 8 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah.
Really?
My phone said 11 hours.
Well, anytime you're on the, what is it?
And lots of rain.
Northwest side.
The northwest side of it, the increased vortex for tornadoes goes way up.
When I was in Pensacola, they get these tornadoes would come up and they have these fly-offs.
Yeah.
So they just empty the base because the hangars are so flimsy. So they throw all the airplanes out and pick some poor air base that's 200 miles away and everybody hit it at once. Of course, they don't BOQ room, so you're sleeping out of the hangar.
Oh,
And,
boy.
but it's amazing. The
you
trucks
see
that would
that?
come in with beer and
Oh, sure.
Did you see that hangar at Tyndall?
I haven't seen any pictures.
Completely stripped it.
It's only F-15 upside down.
Nothing but the frame left.
What was that? Static display, I guess.
They had an F-15 down
You
there?
can probably do this on static.
It was on a stick, yeah.
You can probably.
It was on a
Hurricane
stick,
Hurricane
static
was the most
display.
Oh, okay.
Flipped it over.
Picked it up and ripped it right off.
I always wondered if the Navy Museum would get hurt. Yeah, Pensacola.
That's right, I forgot about
It was
that.
a great museum. Second best museum in the USA.
I get them all from.
at least you can get around in one day.
I was going through training at Tyndall when the hurricane came up and they hurried back all the airplanes. We went to Michigan with the instructors and everything. We continued training there. Hurricane missed that area, and they had tornadoes in Michigan, so it was not a good deal.
He got cheated.
I don't remember the name of the hurricane, but some of you guys might have been there. I think the leadership was gone, and we waited to the last minute. Everybody else was going to Wright-Patterson in Ohio. We waited to the last minute, and I think Bro was the interim commander or something, and we called it Coronet Bro, and we literally took off as the outer bands of the hurricane are coming around Richmond. Took a left turn, went out over Kentucky, Tennessee, and everything, went and landed in Savannah, where it was beautiful, you know, and same thing, the damn storm came up right through Ohio and Pennsylvania and everything, and we were down in Savannah happy as pigs in mud. So.
It's always beautiful in Savannah.
Good question, GT.
It was you and brother were on the
Speaking of Bro
9/11.
Word.
Yeah.
The only airplanes in the entire United States airborne for a while.
Yeah, at the beginning.
He said he's not gonna be here today.
So,
Plus that girl from D.C., right?
yes. I will say nicely, she got off later, so to speak.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a mess.
What happened there? What happened? The one that was after you?
Well, you're asking about the morning of. We got airborne out of Pease Trade Port. It was a mess. They weren't going to let us take off. Then the commander said, we're going to use deadly force if you guys walk out to your jets. And we're like, what? We're on the same team here.
Tower went down.
This is before I even knew a tower went down. There was a huge argument. But Bro was handling it. I was a major. He was a lieutenant colonel at the time. And anyhow, I never heard of the term due regard before, but you guys probably all knew that. I didn't. But where the military accepts our responsibility for separation aircraft or whatever, and finally they concede to letting us go out to our jets. But then there was rumor there were snipers, so I literally serpentined to my airplane. But these, the security forces guys, they were really cool. There were 6 of them, I remember exactly, and they all had M16s. And I guess that was the gun of choice back then. And we walked through the entry control point, and I told Bro, I go, man, I don't know what to think about this. And these guys all came to attention, saluted us, and did an about face like they didn't even see us, and let us walk straight out on the flight line to our airplanes. It was pretty wild.
That's the way my crew chief used to treat me.
They turned around without saluting.
But yeah, we got airborne, and I was actually on the east side. We were about a 2-mile line abreast formation, and I could see New York City. And I called up one of the TAC ends. I don't know if it was LaGuardia or what. Not that I needed to do that, but at that point, the towers had already collapsed, and you could see just the plume of smoke actually sort of joined into one. It came up to about 15,000 feet, and there was a shear that just was dragging it out toward the Atlantic. And we capped over New York for a while. Everything was a mess. We didn't have any tapes. So I couldn't film anything because we were in an air show. I mean, no tapes, no munitions, nothing, you know. And then we come down over DC, and Bro didn't have guard frequency up, but I did. And I heard Raising Cane, Dan Kane, he was over the Pentagon, and Omar and Decon are literally coming up I-95 north toward DC, and Raisin finds them on the radar, and he knows they're Vipers, so he's like, hey, Vipers, literally, this is what I heard. Vipers on I-95 north over Stafford, come up Victor 1, 2, 3, 4. And so I go up to VHF and I punch it, and I'm just listening, and we're at 20,000 feet. And now I can see the Pentagon smoking and everything, and you know, Raising Kane, go figure, on the call sign. Really brilliant guy. I mean, Rhodes Scholar, White House Fellow, all this stuff, but he's the one that really sets up the whole, you know, DC air campaign plan and everything. And so I'm listening to them, and now I realize that Omar and Decon have something live on their jets. I think they might have, I know they got the guns hot, and I don't know if they have AIM-9s or not, but I'm telling Bro, I'm like, we don't even need to get down there. Let's just stay up here and keep going by. But, and then try to call into Richmond, and nobody would answer the radio. Nothing. On UHF-1, VHF-1, no SOF, no ops tech. And I'm like, uh-oh, something happened at Richmond, because the last thing we heard was a 747 was inbound to Richmond, and there were so many rumors and maybe fake news or whatever, because of all of our banking centers down here and everything. And I'm like, God, maybe they took out the base. And then unbelievably, we get Angry Man. You remember him, the tower controller?
Oh yeah.
Angry man.
Yeah, which he has no idea we call him that. So we're like, Richmond Tower, you know, Fury 01, flight of 2, you know, we're a 2-mile non-standard trail straight in full stop to runway 16, or, well, no, it's 34, I guess, that day. And that's my Type A coming through, and he's like, I can't authorize you to land. Don't you realize what's going on right now? He's just screaming and yelling over the radio. And we're like, look, can you just tell us that the departure and cable's up or not? You know, he's like, oh, you know, you're landing on your own. You know, I'm like, oh my God. So I'm calling Bro and Victor. I go, Angry Man is not happy today.
You're never happy.
You're never happy, I know it.
But yeah, you know, we landed, and you know, the world changed. You know, to see our flight line was more active than I've ever seen it, and it was the true showing of what the Guard's all about, to have everybody out there pitching in and doing what they could. I mean, all the live missiles and maintenance work and fuel trucks and everything that was going on. It was.
They were loading everything up.
Yeah, everything we could. We weren't even cited for it, on the weapons site plan. We weren't even cited for that shit. They just went and did it. Boss, were you? I can't remember who the commander was then.
I was not.
Okay. But that's a tough call to make. I think Pete Banani, I think was the OG, so maybe it was Sister.
Well, we had that big plan where you couldn't load stuff on the ramp because of all the quantity distance and so forth.
Right.
And so we had this big plan about going to take airplanes and move them down to runway 24. And as soon as we had all that done, we said, hey, if it ever happens, we're going to just ignore all that stuff. And people over in it had to do with some of the buildings on the base. And they're just gonna have to worry about that later.
Yeah.
So that was the real plan, was to do just what happened. So.
Well, and that I think that was the right call, and our bases all over the country were doing that. I mean, we don't normally carry live out of here, and you just do what's right, and you take the risk over the reward, or maybe that's not the right phrase, but. I got a microphone above me, so I don't know what to say.
Shane to Alcatraz leaves next week.
That's right.
Oh, what was daily life like on a ship before we had all these electronic entertainment things like we have now? You just stay in your rack?
No, I just go down to the ready room and play with the bullpup simulator. Flying, get bullseye every time.
Did you have daily briefings or watch TV, have movies, anything like that?
Crack of dawn till the crack of dawn the next day, 24/7. Everybody's tired, so that you were doing stuff or in bed.
Of course, you had to write efficiency reports on your enlisted guys, right? Did you have to go out and monitor them in a day?
The petty officers would write them and send them up to me, and I correct the spelling, put the punctuation in the word it should be, and then usually send it on up to the department head.
I have a question for you. How did you find out you guys were being released? Was it 1973?
72.
72.
72 was Christmas bombing. 72. And we weren't sure that about half of us had been moved up to the Chinese border. We're living up at this.
Were you still there?
5 miles from the Chinese border. And no electricity, no running water. And it was very, very cold up there. And they didn't know what was going on either. But the bombing was really tearing the country apart. It turns out, I learned that after we got back. And then all of a sudden, we couldn't hear the bombing at Calbag, or whatever the town, I can forget the name of the town up there now. We couldn't hear the bombing, but we did hear SR-71s. And there was an operation that set up, I just read about it recently, that it was, the guys set up covert communications, and they had to do 3, SR-71s had to do 3 sonic booms all at the same time. And they set that up, and it was the most ungodly sound ever. And I always wondered what that was. I just this. But can you imagine trying to coordinate sonic booms and all that at the same time? I'm sure it was an Air Force Academy graduate doing, because Navy guys don't know how to do that.
No, they wouldn't do that. Against the regulation.
Well, they practice in the chapel all the time, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Bill, what year did you get out of Vietnam? Come back.
68.
68. I was 1.
1? Yeah, I remember.
You know that.
You weren't on a list to go back again? Because that was pretty early.
No. But we had some guys that volunteered to go back. And, but no.
How about you, John? What year did you come back?
Second time, 68, first time in 63.
When I hear second time, I'll tell you what, I'm just gonna go out to my car and bow down.
68 was a good year to come back.
I was one.
Yeah, we heard that.
63, you were just a gleam in your daddy's eye, right?
No, because we had 7 kids in our family.
Oh, no, not another one.
Hey, John, in '63, were you in the advisory group, or you?
Yeah, in 63, the only Americans there were the advisors and the helicopter companies.
Right. I was there in '62 as an advisor.
Yeah, I went in 62 and came back in 63.
Yeah, I took the first TAC hospital in there, the 657th, in '62, and then left and came back to the States
I'm trying
on
to think when the
rotation.
first.
Well, you
the
guys
first
are pretty
POW
old.
was Army.
Thanks a lot. You can't say too
Colonel, he
much.
was all by himself. Solitary.
You keep up, we're gonna stop and let you catch up.
He was
No, don't
6
stop.
months before Alvarez got shot at.
Where did they keep him?
In the jungle. He was down south.
Did they let him go when everybody else got there?
After, well, nobody knew he was alive. And, but they had a lot of special forces. I'm trying to think who the guy they named the survival school after him down at Fort Bragg. He escaped after 5 years. He was a West Point graduate. He was a PW for 5 years and escaped and got out. The only one.
See the one they wrote the book called Hero Found about?
No, that was the first guy, Flint Thompson.
Yeah,
Yeah, he got screwed early.
but he was like the Houdini of POWs. He kept escaping from different camps. I'm reading his book right now, but I haven't got all the way through it. But it's pretty impressive. But I think he started out doing missions, and I can never say the name, but Laos or whatever, which we weren't supposed to talk about. Well, I wasn't around, but back then, you know.
One of the long-term Marines captured. Actually, wasn't just a Marine. He got drummed out of the Marine Corps. He was a T-28 pilot. He and his wife had this scheme cooked up where they were gonna just take a T-28 from the back when they had to do proficiency flying. So he's gonna go proficiency flying and jump out over land. The airplane crashed in the water. People were missing. They cashed in the insurance and go live in Tahiti forever. Just one problem. He was, about the Marines, they're really good guys. None of them were honor graduates of their elementary school. He didn't plan it exactly right because the airplane, he ended up in the water and the airplane ended up on land. No seat, no parachute. What is this? And then he decided he wasn't moving fast enough on the eastern shore, so he started hitchhiking. Got picked up by the state police. So also these stories don't jive. What the hell happened to that airplane? It wasn't running right, so I jumped out and they said, I don't want to run. You way all over the eastern shore. Oh, I guess I didn't make a transmission. So anyway, he actually got jail time, cashiered out of the Marines, and ended up flying for Air America in Laos. And his life continued when he was taking a Thai Special Forces sergeant to some top secret base in Laos, and landed on top of a karst ridge that had already been overrun. And so I said, welcome aboard, G.I. Joe. And so he and the Thai sergeant got to join us. That was at 65. And the good news was he did okay in that camp. So Stockdale got his dishonorable discharge changed. So T-28 is probably old anyway. So.
Paul, how long after we landed on the moon did you find out about it? How did you find out about it? If you tell these guys the story.
That's a good question.
About a year. You know, we're probably the last people in the entire world that didn't know about it. And a couple of things happened at the same time. Some peacenik group was in town, and it just blurred it out. Didn't know. And Hanoi Hannah one time said Neil Armstrong was visiting the GIs in South Vietnam. I said, Neil Armstrong has no need to tell the GIs what the surface of the moon is like. They can see it for themselves in the DMZ. Neil Armstrong, he was an astronaut. I wonder if we put somebody on the moon. Thank you. And, boy, it's good. But the other way
Thank
was,
you, ma'am. I
somebody
appreciate
got
it.
mailed these, little sugar packs. They were letting us get packages, but they take anything we really wanted, like the cigarettes or the chewing tobacco or whatever. But had those cigarette pack came out. It's the one with Buzz Aldrin standing there with the flag sticking out straight. So somebody said, "Oh yeah, I did Buzz. They flew with him at some point." And 3 or 4 guys had been in a squadron with Neil Armstrong. And so they put that together.
Dan thinks they did all that in the studio.
Well, no, my dad did. Yeah, my dad never believed we landed on the moon. My dad, we made it up there.
But Paul, tell the story about after that, point to the moon.
Yeah, every once in a while, the guards are never be friendly to us ever. Every once in a while, they couldn't contain themselves. We get a picture from home with a bunch of women in swimsuits, and it's just typically it's a bunch of Air Force Wise at Nellis. There's a big swimming pool there, and they're all standing in the same place, picture after picture after picture, and saying, "Oh yes, Joe's wife." And anyway, I tried to let them know that they knew he was alive, or we were sure how to take it. The guards didn't know how to handle that, and
Thank you.
Point to the moon.
oh yeah. So anyway, one day they moved us to the big camp after we were at Sante, and the Sante camp was about to get flooded. We didn't know that. They moved us in the middle of the night to another camp, and the windows were open. You could see out the back over the fence, and there's the moon is coming up, great big moon like that. Nguyen is the way they pronounce it, Nguyen, which every Vietnamese is named, every single one of them. Sort of like West Virginia. And, but they up there said, "Hey, Nguyen, you want to look at our moon? That's our moon. We own that's the US, American moon." No.
Now he howls at the moon.
Yeah, because the POWs were trying to figure out, since we planted the flag, did we claim it? They didn't know whether we claimed the whole moon as our property. So they would point to the Vietnamese and say, "You might have us prisoners, but we own the moon."
It's a timeshare now.
Yeah. Excuse me. Bless you.
There's our American president. We capture you, you go up there. Eat green cheese.
That's right. Oh, my goodness. Well,
There's some new books out
I
there.
hesitate to chew on this stuff now with the microphone right here. Chomp.
Oh, don't worry about it, Paul. Don't worry about it. We'll cut around.
They can edit there.
that's right. What do you say, some new books out, Randy?
Yeah, No Better Friend is a biography of James Mattis, and Killing the SF by Bill O'Reilly just came out.
Oh, yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that.
saw that.
So,
Yeah, I saw Bill O'Reilly touting his book on TV.
I'm
What's he
like, oh,
doing now?
Making money off his books.
He's on another network somewhere, isn't he? You got a paid network like Mark Levin's network or something like that?
I think is there some kind of conservative
Yeah.
website. I still don't understand how all these things work. Where you get Netflix. I know how to do that sort of, but you get that on your television set because you subscribe to it. That somehow that goes around. I never have figured that out. But
have to call Randy.
Randy knows all
all I know is every time you do one of those, it's $50.
Randy could probably tell you how to do it for free. Right, Randy?
I didn't hear you.
You know how to do Netflix for free, right?
Netflix.
Yeah, what about it?
You can do it for free.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Right.
You didn't watch any last night,
Sure
right?
you're not in
My
front
kids do it
Good
for
answer.
free.
Because you pay for it.
Yeah.
Are you sure you're not in front of 21 senators right now answering these questions?
anybody here like anybody do a background investigation all the way back to high school?
No.
I'd be done.
I can't remember that far back.
Well, they had a background investigation on me all the way back to high school
I
when
don't
I was a
recall.
lot younger.
I just started having fun until I got in the military.
I'm sure that too, when I was in my sergeant.
That's right. Can't have fun with the military.
That was most of boat trips we had.
Road trips?
Boat trips with half.
Well, how about that? I cannot recall any trip with him. Didn't have to be on a boat.
True.
You make any of them interesting.
You can make anything interesting.
So Patrick, I'll tell you about it. I'm gonna get it wrong. Newsweek magazine, the picture of you in the cell and how they edited it.
No, I didn't know about that. You edited it? They edited it?
That was Life magazine.
Life.
Yeah, like,
Oh, the one with his wife, yeah, the way they,
No, the fingers on the Life magazine.
No, we've.
oh, yeah, that one, the way they airbrushed it out. And someone thought you had lost your fingers. They had,
Nephew or somebody.
yeah.
They chopped off one of Paul's fingers. Then they saw the real picture, and they thought I just chopped all the other fingers off, and it was just one sticking out.
Well, I'll be first. You know all these old guys can't sit through a whole lunch here without taking a break, right?
Go follow with the microphone.
Here, start and stop.
It's like my father-in-law used to say. I feel like I gotta take a piss while I'm pissing.
We normally would say that, but
he's gonna do the Corvette for $250. And that includes a wax or sealer. But the Corvette's in good shape too, so.
I'm looking, Glenn's got that new phone, it's got a great screen on it.
I think you took it with him. Make sure we didn't get it.
Is that yours?
That's mine.
I hope this documentary isn't for Navy or Air Force recruiting. I'm not sure if it's going to go over real well based on our conversation.
No, actually, they found out no matter where they do it, it's ancient history now, the POW experience, but wherever somebody speaks, it's SRO. And universally rave notices. And so some brain trust is at the Stockdale Center at the Naval Academy leadership. And the guy running it now, 3 years ahead of me at the academy, retired Marine. And he said, we're gonna capitalize on this. So they went around, these guys are running around interviewing all these people, and they're gonna have little chunks of wisdom. And the only thing I ever said was, there's no such thing as a bad day when there's a door up on the inside.
I remember that.
They're all kinds of little things that they're gonna do is get them in snippets, so that these guys, if they're giving a talk, you just pull quotes out here, hither and yon, and whatever. You can write the same thing. It's all been written, but nobody reads anymore. The only people who read at the Naval Academy are bull majors and
The 70s, how did you persuade people to come in the Navy? You know, that was such an unpopular time. It must have been really difficult to get anybody to want to sign up.
oh yeah, when the draft went away,
Yeah.
we did okay.
You did okay?
In Virginia, I mean, everything's here, so we didn't have as big numbers because you didn't need as big numbers.
Oh yeah, of course.
And a lot of the times when the draft was on, Army in particular was a little spoiled, and they had the soldiers cutting the officers' lawns and things that never happen now. So you don't need as much cannon fire in the all-volunteer force.
So do you think, looking back at air power then and air power now, would we have just dominated them, considering what we have these days with an F-22, F-16, and all that, or were they just so heavily defended? I mean, this sort of goes to all you guys that were over there.
Well, you know,
I mean, it sounds like a stupid question, but
how many bombers with 10 people on each one did it take to destroy a bridge in World War II?
yeah.
And now it takes one F-16 to get 6 bridges. Bullseye every time you release, you get a bullseye. Meanwhile, they're throwing hundreds of thousands of bombs at something like that. Maybe one will hit it. And so it's. But anyway, it was also a mindset. Like the military is supposed to lose guys, so if you lost a battalion here or a battalion there, it wasn't a big deal. Could you imagine losing an entire battalion full of people today?
Yeah.
I mean, whoever the battalion commander was, you better hope he was one of them.
One of them, right?
Exactly. How many B-17s got?
Yeah, those guys got slaughtered in World War II. I mean, Scruff McCulley's dad was a B-17 pilot, if you remember. Yeah. And I can't remember what their mission count had to be, but it was maybe, what, 20-something missions?
25 when you come home, and
Yeah.
a lot of them didn't make that.
Yeah.
They have the tail gun.
No kidding. I didn't know that. Did he survive that, Gino? I don't know.
You get to look right down the gun barrels.
Did he? We must have been a good tail gunner.
It's amazing the number of tail gunners came back with their feet swinging, the whole bottom had been shut off.
Is that where you got your love of tail?
My next door neighbor at home was a B-17 tail gunner. He's got pictures of him flying. I mean, they would take off, didn't have time to repair the airplane. His feet would be swinging back and forth. The 10 below zero back there at 30,000 feet. In the world, they didn't have frostbite.
Gunner sets up front, yeah.
I swear his boots were 2 inches thick.
He don't sit in the back anymore.
Oh,
Just to keep from freezing.
Well, the same with the new tankers. The Boomer's going to sit up front. So, weird. Just crazy to me.
Yeah, especially like get a guy out of, coming in too fast or something like that.
Yeah.
Probably have alarms go off.
Back four. Impact,
If you're sitting up front, you don't care. As long as you're
Yeah,
not
stand up, stop, half.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, we're still short a lot of pilots. I think across the DoD, people just bailing left and right. It's a big problem.
Yeah. Even the Army's short now.
Oh, really?
So, we need you to go back to recruiting. And all these young folks there.
So will they recruit old guys? Just waive the physical.
Yeah, they are.
Let's all go back.
We can all go back.
Air Force, don't they have,
Yeah.
you go back in, you're not in a command slot, but
That's what it should have been for a long time. I mean,
I know it.
a lot of guys just wanted to fly. They don't want all the other.
Yeah, they finally realized people can do that.
Yeah.
Probably go back and fly, right?
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
We could do that. I'd go.
No, thank you.
But that was in Vegas.
Who's flying the T-38s down in Langley? The squadron?
Some of our guys.
T-38 pilot.
Guard guys.
Thanks.
They are
Yeah.
guard guys.
Yeah, they got implemented auction systems.
Yeah.
They haven't done it. Tendo now too. The whole squadron T-38s
They do?
down there. They're flying red air for the Raptors.
That'd be a
The guys
fun
who
gig.
about the
Yeah.
auction system.
A lot of guys doing it,
60 minutes.
airline job just can't keep up with, keep up with the Raptor, but they just don't have the time to keep up like they should.
About 1 hour at a time, and
Yeah.
because you're not air refueling in that thing, so.
I've seen them up here a couple times beating up the field up here.
the Raptor, you don't air refuel?
No, the T-38.
T-38.
I wonder what their sorties are like. They just go out and get shot down.
Yep. That's it.
If they opened up the contractors, I could do it.
Why shouldn't it? It'd be good back. make everybody happy.
Most dangerous part in the T-38, right, is that face to final. You don't want to get behind too much there because airplanes start shaking. It's easy to lose control of it. So
You should have flown a third.
base to final.
I'm
Start getting
250
the stick
knots
start
or
shaking in
something.
that thing. You need to push the throttles up a little bit.
Should have been in the thud.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, sorry,
It was-
before my time.
It was
hard.
It was shaking like mad.
Oh, that was normal.
Yeah. They had a.
Weren't pulling hard enough if it wasn't.
They had a mid-safe speed tape in there that was always buried. In the final turn. Remember?
How many times around the final turn it burned? Several times.
Time or two.
Have no memory of
On the T-38, you mean, or the F-105?
that. Either one.
Oh.
I would take it.
Well, if your
I
eyes were
guess I was a wimpy pilot, probably.
I was on, I was telling this story yesterday to somebody. I was on a cross country in a Cessna 152 down to Raleigh Durham. I had a Langley's Aero Club, and I get clearance of taxi and everything, and I don't know where I was going after that, but it was just me on board, you know, because I'm having to check my squares for my pilot's license, and there's either a 737 or something a little bigger behind me or whatever, and the tower controller, he is just yelling at me to expedite and all this kind of stuff, and I'm just trying to make sure I got everything right for takeoff so I don't kill myself. And all of a sudden over the tower frequency, the captain comes on, he goes, "You take your time, little buddy, we all been there once." And I will never ever forget that. 'Cause that was a cool captain, you know. He knows he can make up the time on his route, he doesn't care. Because if I crash, you know what I'm gonna do? Probably shut that runway down. They're not gonna.
Those were the days.
Reminds me when Taylor went out on his solo out and back. He was supposed to go somewhere and land and get his book signed that he landed there. So when he got there, nobody at the field. Oh man, I can't get my book signed. So he looked around, picked up a brick, and put the brick in the airplane and flew it back to the original place. And his instructor said, "Well, you didn't get your book signed." He said, "Let me ask you something." He said, "Was there a brick in this airplane when I took off?"
Pretty close.
It was clever.
You remember when Robbie Reister came to the dining in?
Yeah.
I knew what he looked like.
Thanks.
And so he's the big speaker. The airplane lands. So I'm watching everybody come in, fly themselves down. They close the gate. The airplane goes taxiing back out. And so I said, "Did you see him?" "No, there's nobody here." And so the airline said, "We can't tell you whether he was on or not. I'm sorry, that's against airline policy." So Bill Monahan went up to laid a little legal jargon on him. But this might be a national, you don't have any idea who we're looking for. This might be a national emergency. Oh, we'll check. Yeah, he's on the airplane. I said, he didn't get off. He slept through the landing. and you know, it went down, they recycled the whole airplane, he took off again. They said, he's on the airplane. They called him, he's on the airplane now. So fortunately, the dining in wasn't until the next day. So somebody went and got him the little airplane they called the Blue Canoe. There was there was a little logistics. They flew it down. He had to fly back on this thing. And he doesn't drink or do anything stupid like that, but he slept through the whole landing.
They had the, C-12 or something like that. They went over to, would have used that to go get him. I thought he came back on an airline the next day.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I'm gonna correct my daughter, but she just texted me this, so talking about Robbie Reisner, so they're exemplar thing, the expression is rise, but she just sent me a text that says, Paul would appreciate that. You don't call him Paul. Kids are different these days, so I'll correct her later.
It's all how you grow up.
Well, even my youngest daughter, every once in a while she calls me dude, and I do not approve of that. Dude. Yeah. Like, what's up, dude? I'm like, no, I'm dad.
Well, she just mispronounced it.
Well,
That's
it's a
right.
different world.
Different accent.
They think, I don't know.
He spelled it electronically.
Yeah.
Spell check didn't get it.
Miss
Yeah,
me.
autocorrect.
Yeah. That's like I told you that story before.
That could be dangerous.
Cats and fish are fed. Sent. Well, changed fed to dead. And everybody was panicked. No, I didn't mean dead. Texting will get you in trouble.
No kidding.
Like that one roasted house about the gum. We won't tell that one.
Oh,
That's back in the old days of telegram, some guy.
where's the bleeping machine?
Telegram back to his wife, he was on a trip somewhere, 4 or 5 days. And her telegram said, having a great time.
This is for you, Gene. Time to come home.
Yeah. No, it's pretend I called.
Yeah, no kidding.
Again, I've never heard one of those last tapes, just before the airplane goes in.
I've heard too many.
Sure you have.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine.
Oh, we got it from Al Carpenter. He just sent us the audio of his shoot down. They were recording in the cockpit. You could hear him going, hit. And all the other planes are trying to find him. They see him in the water. They see 4 Vietnamese little junks approaching on him and then scoop him out of the water and he's gone.
Very nice.
But unbeknownst to him, they took his clothes from him. I got to wash them. That was one of the most demoralizing times I had in Hanoi was when Al Carpenter's flight sim showed up, all bloody and holes in it. And he and I have been friends since we were in flight training. And I remember I interviewed him. He was in 65. He was in the initial combat things where Alvarez got shot down. And I was worried we weren't going to get over there fast enough. I wanted to get over there before this war was over. And I went over and I got bagged after almost the whole cruise. And Carpenter went over. He got bagged right after that. So he had a whole slew of friends. And my cul-de-sac at NAS Lemoore, before the people from my cul-de-sac, six units, it ended up being POWs. And after that, nobody with wings would live in those houses.
I
don't blame them.
Now those, I mean, you guys have all heard them, but those cockpit voice recordings are difficult a lot of times to sit through, whether you're a pilot, crew member, or whatever. And I've just heard so many, and then having gone to the NTSB accident investigation course up there, and so you get a different perspective on the commercial aviation side of the house and everything. So it's tough. It sticks with you. It sticks with you.
You ever watch that program, Why Airplanes Crash or something?
Yeah.
Like that?
Mm-hmm.
Or some strange happenings.
Why did they
How
crash?
could they do that? Sort of thing.
Well, it's not a topic you want to bring up as you board a flight as a passenger with a person beside you, or call it up on your TV screen.
We had a captain with an American name, Koresh. His last name was Koresh. Did you know him? He was in Washington for a while.
I would want to fly with
Yes,
him.
Captain Koresh.
Well, they run out, they crash because they run out of airspeed and ideas all at the same time.
That's right.
Well, it's pretty. That's why I love working in that career field for so long, because you're a 3-dimensional detective with just total carnage in front of you, and you have to try to figure out what caused this. And it's always amazing to me how you can come back to it was a nose landing gear light bulb, and remember that down in the Florida Everglades, right? on 1011. L1011, yeah.
Eastern Airways.
And everybody was focused on that, and nobody was flying the airplane. And so I don't know. I mean, I got into it because I was involved in a T-33 crash back in 1986 for a different reason, and got read my rights and went through a safety investigation board, an accident investigation board, and everything. And I remember calling my dad, going, "Out, this is going to be the shortest Air Force career in the world," because I had only been in, 6 months. But I was exonerated. Just put that on camera, Patrick. But
48 keeper.
yeah, we only had 7 of them, and
What happened?
so Lieutenant Scott, still remember his name, who went on to fly F-16s, by the way, so he lived. But they were out chasing some Navy A4s, Paul, ironically, and he was like 11,000 feet, and he's chasing these A4s, and this is pre-AMRAAM or any of that. And of course, T-Bird had some 50 caliber guns on it. I think that was about it, but if they were that. But anyhow, he went into a dive, and in the T-Bird, if you exceed 0.82 Mach, it had an inherent tuck under problem. So the airplane started flipping while the tail snapped off of it. It only held on by 3 tension bolts. So his stick just went floppy, so to speak, and but he was pinned against the canopy the whole time this airplane is doing this. And then at like 5,000 feet, it rights itself, and he falls back into the seat and grabs one of the triggers. Pretty sure it's a Martin Baker seat, but I could be wrong on that. It's been a while. And he gets a good ejection. He was just single seat. I mean, it's a 2-seat airplane, obviously, but he was just a single pilot and got out. But I went to visit him in the hospital. I'll never forget the whites of his eyes were all yellow from the extreme blood pressure and burst. But I didn't know that happened, until about a day later. And I'm like, oh, we were working on that airplane in phase docks a couple days ago, because tail members. That's where I got into it.
You remember the tailman?
Not right now. Too many cameras around. So.
Oh, okay.
It was either a 52 or 56 model, but I don't remember the tail number off the top of my head.
You'll remember at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
When did the Air Force stop flying T-Birds?
Well, we stopped flying them at Langley in 1989. So they were targets for the F-15s, and Bill flew there in 106s, and were you in 102s as well?
Well, 102 before I got there.
Yeah.
Yeah, 106s in Langley.
And then we had F-15 A and B models, and we were ADF, Air Defense, at that time, and Sat Alert, and then.
I don't want to
Yeah. And then we sort of shut the ADF mission down for a while, and then 9/11 happened, and you guys know the rest of the story. So.
Were all you 106 guys check out 33 also? Or?
No, not everybody. We had a lot of T-33s there. So.
But did the guys in the same squadron fly the targets or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I liked working on them. I mean, it was like real maintenance. It wasn't what the probably 3rd generation aircraft had, where you just pull a box out and plug a new one in and everything. I really had to drill holes in the airplane, and of course, this was when I was my crew chief days, and put a fire seal in there for the Rolls-Royce engine, and you always had somebody hawking you, watching what you were doing maintenance-wise, but it was fun. The funniest part was the first time I opened up a cowling up on the nose of the airplane. I see a frickin' mason jar sitting in there. What the hell's this all about? It was a battery acid drain that was clamped down, but I'm like, we're working on airplanes in the Air Force in the 80s that have mason jars in them. Something got to be wrong here.
How much you think the Air Force paid for this?
Yeah. I'm done.
$100 mason jar.
Right.
It also had a yaw string.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
nose back.
Yeah. Sure
And
enough.
occasionally that thing would get caught in one of the doors, so you're flying along and this string is stuck down over.
You just can't get it there.
Yeah, very disorganizing.
Even the F4 had a yaw string.
Did it?
Very sophisticated instrument.
Yeah.
Piece of yarn.
Stay in the earth.
I understand that some of those airplanes actually had backup intercoms.
Yeah, I'm not going there. Yeah. They work quite well, by the way. Yeah.
I need to hear that story, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe
well,
GT can tell it.
It involved a tube that was used to relieve yourself. And I got to test it because somebody told me it was a backup intercom.
You mean that wasn't an intercom?
Nobody answered, huh? They go down and get a jar of prop wash, you know?
Screw loose on left wing. Screw tight on left wing. You know?
Yeah.
Or they're
Just in training, Durham, Texas.